Today on Sundaze with Low Legacy, we take a trip to Baltimore to talk to one of the city's most well-known spiritualists, Nia Auset. We take a deep dive into what it really means to be spiritual.
Religion is not the only source of spirituality.
We discuss spirituality in our community.
And why do you think a lot of people, Black people specifically, don't take on this journey?
And so much more. Sundaze with Low Legacy starts now. Cheers to this open space where you're invited to be exactly who you are. Cheers to your soul, because there is never, ever, ever going to be anybody else like you, and that's your superpower. Happy Sundays. Before we sat down for the interview, I asked Nia to do my tarot card reading. During this reading, she communicated things to me that my spirit guides had already tried to communicate to me during meditation. So it was no surprise to me that one of the messages that came up was self-doubt is my biggest obstacle. So note to self and note to you guys, if you're blessed enough to know your purpose, follow it fearlessly. Ashe.
Hello, beautiful souls. Happy Sundays. This is Sundaze with Low Legacy, where we encourage individuals to seek, express, and accept their inner truth and higher self. And of course, we had to have my favorite spiritualist on this show. Hello, Miss Nia Auset. How are you?
Hello, I'm so happy to be here with you. Oh my God.
We had to have you. Y'all, let me give y'all like a little background story, then I'll give her a chance to give her intro. But she is like oh my gosh, my energy is off. I can't fix it by myself. I need to call her. I need to text her. Girl, I'm seeing this amount of numbers over and over again. Please tell me what's going on with my life. So this is her. This is her. So can you give us like a quick little intro about who Queen Nia Auset is and everything?
Absolutely. Okay, so Queen Nia Auset is a Loa, a priestess, is Ifa. I am a alchemist. I am a Black woman, which means I'm God. I am, or goddess rather. I am energy. I am elements. I am love. I'm mainly love. That is who I am.
With a little hint of crazy.
A lot of hint. A lot of crazy. A lot of oracle. It's no such oracle that ain't gonna tell you like it is in every way.
So there are so many different things we can talk to Nia about, but and to be honest, you guys, before I have these interview sessions, I typically write things down, but this one, I'm just gonna let the energy flow with us today. So the first question that I want to start with, well, really the only question that I have, and then we can build off of that, is what does spirituality mean to you? For somebody who doesn't engage spirituality in the way that we do every day, for somebody who is where we were before we even consciously started our spiritual journey, what type of definition would you have for them?
The definition of spirituality to me is wholeness within your mind, body, spirit, and balance to walk through life free.
Love that. Free is like the key word there.
Yeah. The ability to walk through life free, and that's of everything. So when we conjure spirituality, we're not speaking specifically on religion, as religion is a form of spirituality, is a form of healing our souls, and it is a very disciplined means of understanding how divine we are. And so I understand religion in the principle, but just like schools aren't the only place that educate, you can learn and be educated in everything if you allow the universe and the people in the universe and the birds to talk to you and the trees to grow and mature in front of you. You can learn from anything. School is not the only source of education. In that same way, religion is not the only source of spirituality. There are many ways to fill your flesh.
I'm really glad you brought up religion, because I feel like a lot of people, especially Black people, I grew up in a Christian church, and I know you grew up in a Christian church. What advice do you have for somebody who is trying to explore spirituality outside of religion? And before we even get into that, I want to be 100% clear. When people, well, at least I can speak for myself. Being spiritual and saying that that's not specifically religion is not bashing any type of religion at all. It's just basically saying that yes, I grew up in this religion, and yes, I do take some principles from certain religions, but I do explore spirituality outside of that culture. So for somebody who is trying to explore spirituality outside of the cultures that we were traditionally brought up in, what type of advice do you have? Because there's so many different directions you can go. Like for me, nature has been the greatest teacher for me in my spirituality. So, and it's so many different avenues. So what type of advice do you have for somebody who's like, you know, I don't even know where to start? It's so many different, it's levels to spirituality.
Absolutely. My advice is to start with meditation, because the most important aspect of spirituality is determining the voices that you're listening to, whether they're yours, whether they're a spirit, and we won't go into what spirits they could be. It's important to be able to differentiate between a message from man, and a lot of times that is the religions, and a message from the spirit. And I do believe the only way to truly feed your spirituality is to seek it yourself. So I think the first step is learning what it means to seek self. Learning that the voices that you're hearing are, yes, you, but also the messages from the spirit, because you are divine. And learning to hear and see through your mind's eye, so that even if you're coming across religion or spirituality, you're only accepting what feels good to you.
Right.
You're only understanding it with what feels good to you. Because what a lot of people don't accept is that even in ancient civilizations, there were religions. They weren't called the names that they're called now. And so I see a lot of people saying like Christianity existed. Christ didn't exist in ancient Egypt. Or Shumar, for people who understand that Mesopotamia, Sumerian culture, were some of the first civilizations to actually touch this earth. Christ, in the personification of Christ, the letters for Christ didn't exist in that moment. So and that same premise with Buddha, Dharma, and a lot of the other religious references, the prophets that we were supposed to take messages from but not necessarily begin worshiping, they couldn't have existed before nature, which is why nature or Neteru feels so good to us. So natural law, and just naturally the first spiritual place you would go to is to nature, to home. And if you don't know how to listen to the wind, differentiate the sound from the birds and yourself, you won't be able to walk into a space where a human is speaking to you and differentiate what makes sense to you and what doesn't make sense to you. So you start by practicing self-disciplines, self-censorship, self-awareness, and everything else from seeking self gives you the answers you need. It's certain things that you can't tell me. You can, but it won't feel good to me, and I don't know how to listen to what doesn't feel good to me anymore.
And that's like one of the biggest keys. Even with anybody who is watching this video, if something that we say doesn't resonate with you, then you don't take it. And that's one of the, like you just said, when somebody tells you something and you're listening with your ears, but it doesn't resonate with you and your soul, you don't keep it, and you don't have to. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about the spiritual journey, is that it's so many different avenues, but you take what resonates with you the most. And I think meditation is a good place to get back to you and start there.
nothing else can come against you once you know who you are.
Love that. So why do you think a lot of people, Black people specifically, don't take on this journey? There are a lot of different reasons that come to my mind, but what's one of the reasons why you think Black people don't tap into spirituality in the sense that we're talking about?
I think Black people don't respond to spirituality right away. Some senses of spirituality right away because we're already so spiritual. We're super spiritual beings. The natural walk of a woman is conjuring. The natural way we cook and pray over our food and things is godly. And so we understand our innate divinity well before we understand it. And so we understand our ability to discern what doesn't sit right with us. But we don't know when to practice it, if that makes sense. And I also feel like it has a lot to do with traditionalism.
Yes, definitely.
Because as a culture, prior to the wrong traditions being given to us, we've always been communal, tonal, and traditional. We've always taken things from our ancestors and done them and repeated them in history. We've always come together and unified amongst each other on things. And so naturally that inspires certain byproducts like groupthink mentality because we're communal, right? We're also very tonal. So sometimes it's not so much as in what's being said, but it's in the messages that are being delivered. So you notice when you go into churches and things like this, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, I'm saying that it is brainwashing. It is say a message, bang a drum. Just like spirituality, but in spirituality we know exactly what we're doing. We're conjuring.
So let me try to explain, let me try to understand. So you're saying that in these traditions we are doing things that are natural to us, but what's missing is the why.
Yes, we're missing the why, the actual ashe or the energies of our reflection and our ancestors. But we're doing everything accordingly. We're taking up the bread and drinking the blood of Jesus Christ. We're lighting candles and falling to our knees. We are doing everything on the spiritual path. So it's funny for a lot of spiritualists in this day and age to watch religions interact because we understand the bigger picture. We're watching them create their grids and conjure up their ancestors and their dancing and their music, but they don't realize that that's the same thing that we're doing and just calling them their names, right? So and like I said, it's natural for us, even back to ancient times, to come together, for it to be a community, to come together and get on one accord. So if we come together and get on one accord, and the accord is Christianity, that's the accord that we're on, groupthink mentality. It's natural, it's not wrong of us to adapt to each other's principles, but it's also easy for one person to get carried away and carry us all away because we are already communal. Most of us aren't practicing Ifa specifically, but because everything is inspired by nature and everything is inspired by our spirituality, we are connecting to the spirituality in each of these religions. So you're still connecting to spirituality. That's what's actually grounding you to come into this religious space. But the religion is being kind of
simplified in a way.
Yes.
So we're missing. Okay.
Simplified in purposely in history, changed, conjured differently. Names are power. Semantics are power. Etymology is power. It's the same thing as if you were walking down the street. Affirmation, law of attraction. It's the same thing as if Lauren, low legacy, were to walk down the street right now and I was to call you Trina, you wouldn't respond to me. It's not your name, it's not your power. And so to take that power away from our people was powerful for the, not trying to be offensive, but it was powerful for the pioneers of our religion. See, pioneer, that's a nice word. It's messed up meaning.
Smooth it over.
See, you're a pioneer. You started the process for us, and believe us, we did need some things to save us, so we understand the power of you, but the only real solutions were saving ourselves. And so that's where the religions kind of dropped off at, where they gave us an outside source for our healing.
So we talked about a lot of great things, a lot of great topics. We definitely have to have a part 2.
Yes.
Because there's so many other different things. Spirituality, if you guys don't know, is like my favorite thing to talk about in the whole wide world. So we definitely have to have a part 2. But before we leave, do you have, if it's one thing that you want our viewers to take from this video, if they didn't take anything else, what's the one sun vibe that they can take to apply to their life?
Okay. So the one sun vibe I have for our wonderful people is, if you are trying to understand your power, get this book, Working the Roots by Michelle E. Lee. Michelle E. Lee is Michelle Elizabeth Lee, let's give her all her Auset power, is a wonderful queen who came up with this wonderful book with over 400 years of our divinity from Africa to indigenous lands of the so-called Americas. And follow, listen, and renew your spirit in the elders. They are the answers. They are our shamans. They are our healers, our oracles. Go talk to the ancestors. Listen to the elders. Let them talk to you. Don't rush. Don't go with a time limit. Be open, because what they'll start to do is sing to you the names of their angels one way or another. The angel in the purple robe, that's Oya. And maybe our grandmother didn't know that, but now that we're privy to that information, we're able as millennials to connect those dots and to say, no, mom, it just wasn't just an angel. That angel had a name. That angel in orange, or that angel in green, or that person had an energy in our lives and a message to deliver to you in that dream. Connect what we know to what the ancestors know, and we will be unstoppable. We are our ancestors. They are us. And they, together with us, will venerate our presence on this earth again.
So her sun vibe is, let's get back to our roots.
Get back.
Yes, sister.
Go to the elders. They gonna tell you something.
So thank you so much. Like I said, we definitely have to have you back for a part 2. We have to definitely pick a place that isn't, as noisy. But thank you so much for coming, guys. Thank you so much for coming in. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. Again, if you are new to the show, this is Sundaze with Low Legacy, where we inspire individuals to seek, express, and accept their inner truth and their higher self, one episode at a time. So we will catch you next time. Thank you so much, beautiful souls. We'll see you again.
See you later.
Hey, beautiful souls. Want to catch bloopers, behind the scenes footage, and more episodes? Follow us so you don't miss a sun vibe.